Hi guys, it's April and I garden down in southeast Nebraska, zone 5B, and this is my weekly garden update tour thing video. Starting a little later than I have been, but I think this will still work. It feels nice and cool right now because we actually got some rain earlier this week, and so as you can see, everything's a little bit of a jungle, but you know what? I'm okay with that. I just have to decide which side of the garden I want to start this on. Started here last week, but this was like right at my feet, so I had to show off this zucchini plant because I am actually starting to get zucchini again, though oddly, some of them, they start to form and then they get squishy. Ooh, that one's big. So I think mostly I have a bug problem. So things are getting pollinated, but they're just not always making it through. And then of course, back there, you can see the bunching onions and my candy pumpkins, which I don't know if they're gonna get big enough to actually give me any pumpkins before our last frost, because our last frost has been moved up a bit. So we're early October at this point. I don't know. We're playing a game. These guys, these peaches, they seem to be getting bigger, but we're still not softening. Let me tell you a story about these cowpeas, about these beautiful pink cowpeas. Sometimes I like to give my dogs garden treats. They love peas. I give them a little bit of cucumber every now and then. Well, one of the puppers, Gillyweed, has discovered that cowpeas are just like peas, at least in the taste and the crunch, according to him. And so now I have to keep an eye on him because he will come up to this plant and he will rip one of these off and he'll just munch away. Which all I can really do is groan at him and tell him not to do it because it's actually kind of good for him. But now I'm fighting the dog for the cowpeas. I think instead of going up to the ground cherries, which we are getting some now, we're gonna start at the beds, the tangled mess of these beds. So we are starting to get a little bit of dieback on these tomatoes, which I kind of expected, especially with the rain and the shift in weather and all that kind of stuff. So I'm okay with that. I'm just hoping I can still harvest the rest of these San Marzanos and the Nebraska wedding. But the peppers are doing pretty good, and I'm learning a lesson with these radishes I planted right here. And it's kind of the same lesson I learned with the zucchini that I attempted to regrow in the bed next to me that I will show you after I show you this. But as you can see, these radishes are a little bit leggy. I did not contemplate how much the side of this bed blocks the sun. And then by the time that the sun is coming over from this side over here, the tomato plants are blocking the sun. So these guys are really stretching for some sun. I've actually lost a couple of them. The traditional daikons came up and then promptly left. I've got these hybrid, well, I got 4 of the 6 purple hybrids. And then I've got these mini, which I've got, 3 of the 4 are doing good. And then I've got this other hybrid down here. I can't remember what it is, but I've got 3 of 4 of those as well, and I'm thinking I'm going to lose this poor little guy here. So that's a lesson learned. And of course, we got the wild jungle that is this mess as well. Honestly, I'm kind of waiting for some of this trellising to start to give way, because usually later in the season, my string starts to give out a little bit. But right now it's holding. All of the tomato plants are pretty much holding each other up. But like I said, we've got some dying off. I need to get in there. I need to pull out all the dead stuff. I need to get some airflow back in there. It's just everything always explodes when you get some actual rain with nutritional value. It also looks like we've got some blushing tomatoes in there. We'll turn around. And this is the bed I was talking about with the zucchini. So first of all, it's fighting the butterkin. Second of all, it was stressing for light. So this is actually a zucchini plant. This is the butterkin. As you can tell, they are related. Distantly, but related. Don't know if I'll get anything off of it. I don't know if we have enough time because of how much it's struggled. But we could. You never know. The butterkin is continuing to give me butterkins, but it's these offshoots now because all the stuff that came from the bed has died. So I'm guessing what happened is the newer stuff has actually rooted itself in the grass and carried on with life. And then the corn is starting to dry out, which is good, which is what I want, because then I can go through and I can harvest these. I don't want to pull it back because the birds will start eating it, but they're mini little cobs. They're mini popcorns. So I think I might actually have popcorn. And that's so exciting. I'm so tempted to just pull this one, but I won't. I'll give it a little while longer to dry out, especially since we got that rain. We got the pond back there. And then the cucumbers are almost all the way back to the pond. That's how bad the cucumbers have gotten. And then they come all the way back up here, and they're starting to stretch towards the pumpkin, but they're also nearly to the top of that trellis. So here's me thinking I'm not going to ever get any cucumbers, and now I have to contemplate what I'm going to do with all these cucumbers. I think I'm going to make jelly this weekend because I like to use cucumber jelly when I make sweet and sour meatballs. So I think I will restock myself on cucumber jelly. But I am excited about the okra, finally getting okra. Waiting for some of those to get a little bit bigger. He's almost ready though. Probably tomorrow. Watch as I come back tomorrow and it's ginormous. More of my jungle of tomatoes. I know I talked about my project of cutting these back. So here, this one I cut back. It's got this shoot coming out. I should probably tie it up and try to make it go a little straighter. And then, hello, right back here, you can already see we've got this offshoot on the other plant that is very, very vigorous. The hope is that it actually produces tomatoes and not just green. Now here's what I'm finding back here. With the cucumbers come in this direction, it's pulling down the tomato plants. So I literally have to come through here and rip those off. Because, yeah, they're not kind. Cucumber plants are not kind. Whew. Looks like I've got, oh, there we go, a cucumber. But I should just go through and pull everything off of the pepper plant that you cannot even tell is here. Save what I can, because I don't think this has got much longer before it's just overrun by the sunrise bumblebee and, of course, the cucumbers. I started calling this the Sunflower Alley because, as you can see, my sunflowers are in bloom. The giant one apparently is a giant teddy bear sunflower, my favorite. And then we've got the tomato plants, and then the pepper plants, and then more tomato plants. That it creates this like little tunnel effect back here. It was not as aggressive last year, but I like this. It almost makes me wonder that if I really wanted to, I love seeing people's like cattle panel trellises, but because of the way my beds are set up, none of them are ever parallel to each other. It didn't make sense for me. But in theory, I could do it right here. I'd have to cut the panels skinnier than they come, and I'd have to get them relatively large because it would have to be tall on this side and then a little shorter on this side when it reaches the bed. But I could make an arch here. I'd have to grow everything from this side to trellis up this side, and I could probably still keep my sunflowers. But whatever's vining from over here could just slowly come up over top, and then you'd have like this little tunnel effect. This is the best place to be standing right now because you've got the breeze and you've got the shade and it's just dappled light. That is just a happy little accident. But yes, we've got all kinds of sunflowers over here. We've got the dark ones, we've got the giant teddy bears, we've got the volunteer ones, and we've got my mess, which, surprisingly, is the birds' favorite spot. I have a little colony of birds that every afternoon when I let the dogs out, I just scatter, especially from this area, especially since we've got the bird feeder here, that just thrive off of this area. And I think they're the reason I haven't been dealing with hornworms. So I'm okay with that. And the fact that they love this because it feels so native to our area, I think that's what I want to keep this area. I mean, maybe not the grasses, but maybe more of the flower type stuff, and may be able to smother out a lot of that grass if I get the soba and the quinoa and the butterfly weed and the milkweed in and going quicker than everything else. Of course, then we have this last bed that pretty much looks like all of the other beds, wild and overgrown. And you know what? You are not supposed to be there. I just grass everywhere. But we are harvesting the carrots, and this is the only nasturtium that I've really got to thrive this year, and it's a volunteer. And it really likes this area. I did pull up some of the carrots over here a couple days ago to make my purple fermented hot sauce, because I wanted some of those black nebula carrots to give it even more purple color. And as I was digging, right in there, not that it's easy to distinguish what's going on, I unearthed some of the potatoes, the surprise potatoes. Turns out those might be purple potatoes. I like purple vegetables and fruits, apparently. I think it's just because when you grow up, you're used to those standard colors, and now that I get to choose what's in my garden, I'm going through all of the things that I've never seen before, and I like it. So I skipped over this last loop around when I started the beds, and that's a pumpkin right here. As you can see, some of it's starting to die back. I don't exactly know why, and unfortunately it's what all of my big pumpkins are on. So my pumpkins have started to turn yellow, orange, and I might have to harvest them earlier than I wanted. I'm hoping they'll still keep for Halloween, and then I can process them immediately afterwards. But I like to put these out on my porch with the decorations. I think the bugs got it once again. I think the squash bugs are winning. Life of a gardener. I already kind of talked about the ground cherries, but since we're back here, if you notice that wonderful, wonderful coloring, for the longest time could not figure out what was going on. Once again, it was as I was observing the dogs that I figured out what it was. They have been peeing on my plants and burning it. So that's another thing I get to watch out for when I'm out here with the dogs. I love them to death, but you know, this is outside to them. This is not a garden. Finally, we're over on the side of the deck. We've got the spinach growing up. And then we've got all of the tomato plants. The beans are kind of, I mean, they're not necessarily dying back, but they've seen a better time of it. So I may have gotten all that I can get off of them, which is good because, like I said, the tomato plants are starting to take over. And this isn't the only striped German tomato plant I have. I planted one here in ground and one in the bed, but both of them have yet to actually set any fruit. Most of my other plants have done that already. I don't know if the German is just a late variety or what, but I don't know if I'm going to actually get any tomatoes off of them. And if that's the case, I don't know if I want to grow them again next year. I mean, maybe I'll try one more time, and if I don't, then I won't. But they look like gorgeous tomatoes and looks like they would taste delicious. But I'm not getting any. We've got the strawberry bed, which it looks like we've got, we got some strawberries in there. Breakfast. And then we got our cucumber plant, the slightly more vigorous peach plant. I just love how bushy this one got. This is another thing the birds love. They just sit there and hang out in that tree. And then we can end like we normally do with my teddy bear sunflowers. I just love them. Of course, only one of these plants are actually growing in the bed. The rest of them are in the grass. So we no longer use this gate because we can't get it open. Yay, volunteers! And I think the blueberry plants are doing pretty good too. So that is the garden this week. She's very, very green. I'm not sure how other people give these tours and snack while they're doing it because I'm just awkward. Just awkward. But that's pretty much true about me in general. So I don't know why I thought that would be any different. Yeah. So that's my garden. Of course, I post on Instagram as well if you want to check out pictures of my harvest and quick little tours and what I do with the stuff that I pull out of here. You can check me out over there. Otherwise, if you want to see how this garden changes and grows each week, I'm going to try and post a tour if I can. So subscribe down below, hit that bell, do all the things to get all of those notifications. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope to see you again, and I heard your beautiful faces. Bye.